Today I'm going to paint apples on a tree in very spontaneous, loose way. Hi friends, I'm Olga Koelsch, watercolor artist, teacher and a book author. Welcome to my studio. Although we are painting spontaneous and loose, it never hurts to make a quick drawing. First apple, the second apple, just very close to the first one. Some round shape, but not entirely round. And one apple is hidden. We can imagine the full shape and then paint what we see. And what's important, we have a couple of leaves covering the apples, and that would be great to draw in advance, so we are not covering painting on those parts. Typical apple leaves. One big, even couple big leaves right here, middle vein, one more, one with very nice curvy shape, around, one more. Always nice to add extra curve. Now we can remove all these unnecessary lines. There will be this deepening on the back of the apple. They are very important to set up the shape, the shadows, so we can prepare them in advance. And now we are ready to paint. Both apples, they have yellow and red colors on it. For the yellow I will use gumbush yellow, it's pretty warm one. And as my main red, I will use cadmium red. And for the shadows, alizarin crimson. I wash my brush. I glaze the apple area, first apple area, with clean water. And then I add my yellow. I look at the reference. I see that the most of the yellow is located on the bottom of the apple. I just let it all flow. I can add a bit more of accent if necessary. And then I paint with cadmium red. What's important here is glare point, very light one. I have to keep this in mind and don't come close with my paints. It's better if you leave it bigger than it is, because you can make it smaller pretty easy. So now I move here to this deepening. It's red and bright on the top, and again some glare on the opposite part. I also keep this in mind. Just stepping a bit aside to be on the safe side. Like this. Basically I let it all flow. It's not a precise painting, it's more like a sketch. And now I can add with alizarin crimson some shadows from the leaves we can't see, a little bit on side to show up the shape. I wash my brush. I dry it with a paper towel. And with clean, damp brush, I just slide my brush according to the shape, making some soft round moves. And I, so to say, make everything smoother and softer. I can emphasize a little bit this area. And add some couple of brush strokes. Again, I'm glazing all the apple part, excluding these leaves. Clean water, glazing. This apple has a bit more of yellow parts, and it has slightly green touch in them. I will add sap green to my gumbush, and I add this. I will start with this yellow-green on the bottom. Again, I see some pretty evident glare on the opposite side. I can create it using my paper towel. And then I use just my same red. This apple has more orange details, so I will paint mostly with orange. On the left side, we'll use cadmium orange around this deepening area, and then I switch again to my red, to my cadmium red. I try to move my brush according to the shape of the apple, some round brush strokes. And it has a lot of pink on the top, so I add quinacridone rose on the top and add more pink filling, just like this. And alizarin crimson for the shadows, for example this part, a bit around this deepening, shadows underneath the leaves. There is also a big shadow from the leaf. Actually, I think we can even create it right now while the paper is wet. I will add just big, bold alizarin crimson area in this corner and more orange area on the opposite part. Then I just let it all dry and quickly paint this hidden apple. It's basically all in the shadow, just one sparkle moment, mostly orange. I will start with that. I will add sap green to my red and paint this bottom apple in these bit dusty paints. Just leaving this one small spot, and I can work a little bit on this glare part, make it more natural, like this. Now leaves. I have sap green, which I like a lot. I firstly use a diluted version. My goal is to paint it just in one layer, so I have to bring all the shadows and light parts in one go. The leaves are not super important, so I am going to paint them in just brush strokes. I slide my brush on one side of the leaf and then on the other side of the leaf, leaving a bit of space in between for the middle vein. I try not to paint close to the apples, or you can just wait until they are dry, also fine. And then it's easier if you move from one leaf to another leaf, so they are not overlapping a lot. Let's start with this. This is pretty bright one. Same principle, just slide in my brush, then step aside a bit for the middle vein, and then you just bring it outside of your paper till light and bright. One part and a bit darker. To make them dark, I use just the same sap green, add a little bit of my cadmium red and a little bit of ultramarine blue. Darker green, but pretty natural one. I can paint the darker leaves. This one, it's the second leaf, which is in the shadow of the top one. It looks darker and it is darker. It's in the shadow. Here we have an interesting situation. We have shady part on this leaf, and they have very bright sunny part of this leaf. I firstly painted the shadow. I wash my brush. I grab just the same sap green and I paint it next. Now, dark mix, we have another leaf just underneath, same situation, the leaf which is in the shadow, You see, I basically don't paint any details, it's just brush strokes. I can add a bit of ultramarine blue to make it even darker for this one leaf underneath. Emphasize some shadows. Maybe a bit more here. Don't be greedy with your dark colors. I also think that's a very nice mix to add these green parts at the bottom. Just brush strokes, small brush strokes, and that's enough. I will paint this one on top of the sky because it's darker than the sky. For the sky, I'm going to use cerulean blue, my favorite paint for the sky, maybe with some touch of ultramarine blue. And with my brush, I just carefully paint around, getting very close to the shape, to the apple. And again, if it is a bit stressful for you, if you do not have full control on your brush, I recommend you to wait a couple of minutes until the previous details are dry and then just paint. Then you would not get some bleeds, unexpected bleeds. Now you just paint all over the sky. It's just simple, plain blue sky, no clouds, no details. So basically you just create a nice wash. It's nice to move from top to bottom. Here will be some branch, but branch is darker than the sky, therefore I just paint it all over. And for example, sometimes I leave some areas around, or sometimes I allow my sky touch the details. Then I paint very careful in between the leaves. For me, it's not important if leaves will mix with the sky, but I don't want paints of apples mix with the sky. So when I paint around apples, I am extra careful, like this. So I firstly paint around this complex shape with the tip of the brush, and then I can use bigger brush strokes to cover the rest of the area. Remember, firstly some kind of outline around the complex shape, and then bigger wash. Same everywhere around. Try not to go back in those areas we already painted. While it's all dry, I can work a bit on the details. For example, apple leaves, they have some red points. I can add a couple of red details into the leaves, especially in the tips of the leaves. Around the middle vein. This is a little bit too bright. I wash my brush and I grab a little bit of initial yellow, super diluted. I can add some veins with the same paint, slightly darker. I move my brush pretty freely. I can add some pink-red details to the edges of the leaves, like this. Again, some veins. It especially looks nice on these light leaves. We can add some darkness on there. A bit of fun. Maybe some shadow. This is too bright, too light, so I will paint it again with sap green, diluted, almost transparent, but it will look nice. Now Now it's time to add some darkness. For example, burnt umber, a bit like this. I will add one more go, just cadmium red on top. Firstly to create the shadow and make it a bit more darker. You can even add this dark green for the shadow part. Look how nicely it will work here. What's important, if you do the same trick, you have to cover the full area of the apple, otherwise it looks like we did all these corrections. More shadow, just like this. Now this big leaf, bit more of green, same principle, we just paint it over and we combine both blue and green. You can press your brush like this to imitate this edge of apple leaf. About this can be more leaves, just for example a small little tip of the leaf looking underneath somewhere, maybe a bit more. Look at your painting, decide whether you would like to add more or not. Absolutely fine to stop when you feel comfortable. Let's add a bit of shadow right here on the top. Make sure it's dry. Alizarin crimson. I will add a bit of our everything mix. Firstly on one side, this shadow is more defined, so I can just try to recreate what I see, like this. Now we have nice shadow, and add a bit of shadow in this deepening part. Our quick painting is ready. Let's remove paper type. This magic of removing paper type. Now our apples are ready. Thank you so much for painting with me. I hope you enjoyed the process. I hope you like this 100 days project, and I am looking forward for your ideas. What would you like to paint next? See you soon. Bye bye.